Hey guys, and welcome to a new edition of News Bytes. This is my catch-up of tech news that has caught my eye over the last week, so let's get into it. So the article that really kind of caught my eye over the last week was the CD Projekt RED hack, and if you didn't know, these are the guys behind Cyberpunk 2077. Already had a shed load of bad press around that game to do with performance on various consoles and stuff like that, and share price bombed because of that. And here you go, they're back in the news again. They've been hacked. Source code for the game has allegedly been stolen, along with The Witcher 3 and various other titles as well. And it's almost like they're stumbling from bad to worse, really. And these guys just can't get a break. And cybersecurity nowadays is an essential thing for a technology company, and this is a bad show. This, and if the source code is leaked, I think lots of questions people will be asking about what is it that the hackers or those that get access to the source code, what can they now get access to? Certainly with online services and things like that. So I think this is one of those stories that's going to kind of just run on a little bit. As we become more aware about what could potentially happen with online services, certainly for those games that are affected. Now, on my channel over recent months, I've done some comparisons of NVMe SSDs and SATA SSDs, and kind of asking the question as well, are hard drives slowly dying off? Are we getting up to those capacity points with solid state drives where really people aren't looking at buying regular hard disk drives? And I think it's always interesting when you get the likes of Backblaze coming out with their hard drive stats, and if you didn't know, they publish an annual report of the drives that they've got in use on their services, and kind of the overall performance of them, the reliability, which manufacturers they're using, and things like that. And I've followed this for a number of years, and I think it's quite interesting, the results this year. Western Digital as a brand, in terms of their drives, they seem to kind of started reversing previous years, and actually as a hard drive, it seems to be quite reliable now. Toshiba, again, another brand that is quietly just in the background for a lot of people, certainly for kind of like in consumer grade products. It's probably not one of the first brands that you think of, but their brands seem to be extremely reliable. And at first glance, brands such as Seagate look like they've got worse performance. They seem to have an average failure rate that's a good % or two higher than the other brands, but actually the overall number of drives that are in use is significantly higher than the other brands. So actually, in general, hard drives seem to be getting more reliable as time goes on, and I think that's really interesting. Certainly, up until kind of like the 10 terabyte level. So between 4 and 10 terabyte, drives seem to be generally getting more reliable. So I still think personally, it's on a dwindling path. Certainly for consumer level, but at enterprise level, there's obviously plenty of life left in there. But interesting, I'll put a link to the report from Backblaze in the description below, and you can go and have a look at some of the stats on the drives yourselves. As I say, it's an annual report, and it is quite an interesting read when you look at the overall stats for the various manufacturers. So, in about a week's time, Microsoft's going to launch the Surface Duo in Europe, and I have to admit, this has taken a long time. It feels like an age since I actually saw Microsoft debut this. If you didn't know, this is their folding phone/tablet device. The kind of like come back onto the mobile market after they've effectively binned off Windows Phone, and I think it's been out in America for a while, so it's taken an awful long time to get into Europe. Price-wise, been a couple of mentions of price being around about the €1,500 mark. which is just incredibly expensive for the device. I don't think it's overwhelming specs on it either. So I believe in America it's currently on an offer at $999. So to come out at almost double that in euros is astonishing, really. But we will see. I think it's a hard sell for Microsoft in where they are now in this arena. I think the damage was done when they decided to just completely ditch Windows Phone and refocus, and they've got such competition in the marketplace now. Obviously, this device is going to be using Android, so it might get some traction, but it's so expensive. People, as I've said on previous Bytes editions, people aren't necessarily wanting to pay for a €1,500/pound product to put in their pocket, and very much a premium end device there, and I'm sure we'll start to see reduced prices in the coming months on that. So obviously previous Bytes have talked about Intel Rocket Lake S CPUs and the fact that Intel is starting to gain back some of that ground against AMD, and in many reports they're going to overtake AMD for clock speed. But I also mentioned the fact that AMD were already kind of like getting on with their next iteration of CPUs, and the leaks are starting to come out. The new Zen 4 CPU, it's rumored to be 29% higher than the current CPUs that they've just gone and launched. So it's going to be a cat and mouse game, isn't it? Intel are going to get the lead again for a few months, and then AMD are going to release their new CPU, and we're just going to go round in a cycle like that. These are slated to be released in 2022. So if you look where AMD most recently released their CPU, then I think you can say, it's going to be the back end of 2022. But ultimately, this is good for the consumer. As I've previously said, this is going to drive down prices, certainly on those, mid-range, low-range CPUs, because, both Intel and AMD are going to have these high-performing CPUs. So this is all providing, the stock situation, the stock and supply situation is resolved, and we've got a good flow of components coming through. Obviously, a lot of the manufacturers, both on graphics cards and memory and CPUs and things like that, they're talking about the second half of 2021 before these supply issues start to be resolved. So this should hopefully fall in nicely for when they go and launch their next iteration of their CPU. Anyway, guys, hope you found the video useful. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and the reviews and the unboxings and tutorials, all that kind of stuff. But what are your thoughts on what I've talked about today? Drop them down below in the comments. Any questions, same kind of thing, and I'll try and answer them for you. But for now, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.